The cameras flashed, the crowd froze. And just like that, Hollywood had a totally new obsession.
Oh, they really did. The internet basically broke in half.
Welcome to Starscope Report. Join Jordan and Jamie as they uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today we are doing a massive deep dive into a single viral moment that honestly redefines how we look at celebrity boundaries.
Right, because on the surface, it just looks like a cute interaction, but it's actually so much deeper.
Exactly. So picture this. It is July 2026. We are in Mexico City on the red carpet for the massive fan event premiere of Spider-Man. Brand new day.
And you have to imagine the energy there, right? Marvel premieres are already chaotic, but this one was just deafening.
Oh, completely. It's an absolute sensory overload. And right in the middle of all this screaming and flashing lights, one fan manages to yell out this super bold question in Spanish.
¿Te casarías conmigo, por favor?
Yes. Would you marry me, please? Which is, a pretty intense thing to shout at a stranger.
Yeah, I mean, usually the playbook for a megastar in that situation is just to, smile vaguely into the middle distance and keep walking. You do not engage.
Right, you pretend you didn't hear it. But Zendaya doesn't do that. She actually stops walking.
She stops, which is already breaking the rules.
Exactly. She stops, she smiles, lets out a laugh, and drops this perfect three-word response. She just says, "It's too late."
It gives me chills just thinking about the PR brilliance of that. 3 words that completely sent everyone into a meltdown.
Because she wasn't just rejecting a proposal from a fan, she was finally acknowledging the absolute worst-kept secret in Hollywood.
Her marriage to Tom Holland, which is it's a huge deal.
It's massive. And we're going to unpack exactly what that 3-word response means and the crazy lengths they went to hide this wedding.
Not to mention the really fascinating and kind of dangerous psychology of why fans care so much in the first place.
And trust me, you are going to want to stick around because later in the episode, we'll talk about a shocking twist involving some rogue artificial intelligence and Tom Holland's actual grandmother.
Oh my gosh, the grandmother story is just wild.
It really is. But before we get to the AI drama, we have to look at the Mexico City scene itself. Because you can't fully grasp the weight of that interaction without talking about the visual armor Zendaya was wearing.
Oh, the dress. We have to talk about the dress.
Right. She stepped out in this stunning, Gothic-inspired, sheer midnight silk gown. It was from Ashi Studios' Spring 2026 couture collection.
And of course, she was styled by her longtime collaborator, Law Roach, which is a really crucial detail to note here.
Yeah, because when those two work together, nothing is an accident. Every single thread has a purpose.
Exactly. I mean, look at the thematic details of the outfit. You had this antique-inspired embroidery and these very deliberate web-like patterns.
It's a brilliant nod to Spider-Man,
Obviously. And then there were glass tassels and this intricate beaded fringe cascading down the sleeves and the back.
So, okay, let's unpack this. The visual contrast there is just wild to me. She looked completely regal and untouchable, almost like she was from another planet.
Right, but she was physically standing right there in the middle of this screaming crowd.
Yeah, and when she reacted so quickly and charmingly to that fan, it almost felt like, I don't know, like a zoo exhibit.
Wait, a zoo exhibit? How so?
Like the fans think they're in the enclosure with her, just casually chatting with a friend, but really there's a thick layer of glass between them.
Oh, that is a great analogy. She is separated by this invisible barrier of immense fame, but she briefly chooses to tap on the glass.
Exactly. She taps on the glass. She gives the fan a moment of engagement, but it is entirely on her terms.
By laughing and saying it's too late, she is politely but firmly establishing a boundary. It's like politely declining a flyer on the street, but doing it with so much charm that the person thanks you anyway.
Yes, it is an absolute masterclass in PR. She gives the fans just enough to go viral on TikTok, but she keeps her actual real life completely protected.
Which brings us to the wedding itself. Because her saying it's too late was her first cheeky public acknowledgement that she was actually a married woman.
Married to her Spider-Man co-star, which they somehow managed to keep almost entirely hidden from the public eye.
Which is it's an incredible feat in the modern era of celebrity. I mean, it's almost impossible.
Well, wait, hold on. I have to interrupt here because the math really isn't adding up for me.
What do you mean?
I just struggle to wrap my head around the logistics of pulling this off. We are talking about Zendaya. She surpassed 150 million Instagram followers way back in 2022.
Right. She's one of the most famous people on Earth.
Exactly. By 2026, she is arguably one of the most recognized human beings on the planet, and Tom Holland is right there with her.
Oh, yeah. They are the ultimate Hollywood power couple.
So, in an era where literally everyone has a camera in their pocket, where paparazzi track private jets, how does a wedding stay off the grid? A wedding requires caterers, venues, guests, travel. How does that not leak?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the secrecy isn't just about making people sign tight non-disclosure agreements. It represents a fundamental philosophy of how Zendaya approaches her fame.
Right, she's talked about this before, hasn't she?
Yeah, she has. If you look at her interviews over the years, this has been a really consistent theme. In an August 2023 interview with ELA, she talked a lot about this concept of protecting the peace.
Protecting the peace. I love that phrasing.
Right. She accepts that parts of her life will inevitably be public because of her job as an actor.
But she insists on having absolute control over what she chooses to share with us.
Exactly. It is a very deliberate, heavily fortified wall that she built between her personal life and her public persona.
Like when she and Holland bought that £3 million home together in London back in 2023.
Yes. That wasn't just, a smart real estate investment. It was the creation of a physical safe haven. It's an ocean away from the Hollywood epicenter.
So pulling off the secret wedding was really just the ultimate execution of her boundary-setting philosophy.
Precisely. She is proving that even at the absolute highest echelons of global fame, you can still keep the most sacred parts of your life for yourself.
And here's where it gets really interesting. If she had this ironclad perimeter around the wedding, how did the world find out before she even stepped onto that red carpet?
Oh, the timeline of the leak is so good, especially considering how meticulously she usually curates her image.
Because it wasn't a paparazzi leak, was it?
Nope. The initial confirmation traces back to March 2026 at the 32nd Actor Award.
Oh, right. La Roche.
Yes, La Roche. He was doing a red carpet interview with Access Hollywood, and he just sort of let it slip.
Or maybe it was intentional. I mean, it's always hard to tell with him. He's fashion's most powerful image architect.
True. But intentional or not, he flat out stated, the wedding has already happened, you missed it.
Just a casual mic drop that completely detonated the internet.
It really set the rumor mill into absolute overdrive. But it wasn't until June 2026 that Tom Holland finally confirmed it officially.
And that was during an interview with Esquire UK, right?
Exactly. But true to their super private nature, when the interviewer pressed him for details about the ceremony, he shut it down. He just said, that's all you'll get on that.
Which, honestly, good for him. But because Zendaya and Holland successfully maintained this total media blackout, they accidentally created an information vacuum.
And nature abhors a vacuum,
What?
especially in pop culture.
Right. When fans feel entitled to access but get absolutely nothing, they don't just move on and say, oh, well, they manufacture what they want to see.
Which brings us to the artificial intelligence part of this story.
Yes. And if you're loving these Hollywood twists so far, make sure you're subscribed because we've got even crazier stories ahead and you do not want to miss how this unfolds.
Because the AI element here is where things shift from a typical Hollywood romance into something entirely unprecedented.
Totally. Because there were no paparazzi shots of the wedding, there was no exclusive spread in Vogue, no leaked iPhone videos from guests.
Nothing. Zero visual evidence.
So these AI-generated photos of their supposed wedding started going viral online, and they looked incredibly realistic.
Oh, they were terrifyingly good. If you weren't deeply trained in spotting deepfakes, you would absolutely believe they were real.
And it got so out of hand that Tom Holland's own grandmother saw these fake photos circulating on social media.
And she was genuinely upset.
Wait, she actually thought she hadn't been invited to her own grandson's wedding.
Yes. Holland had to address the chaos in that same Esquire interview. He had to call her and comfort her.
That is just mind-blowing to me.
He noted that the rest of his family wasn't fooled by the AI images for one simple reason. As he put it, they were all there.
I mean, think about how profound that is. The parasocial demand for content from fans is so overwhelmingly strong that it literally rewrites reality.
It forced a celebrity to comfort his own grandmother over an event she physically attended.
It really proves that in 2026, the digital illusion of a celebrity's life is often way more convincing than actual physical reality.
That is exactly what happens when advanced technology intersects with extreme fandom. The demand for consumption just completely outpaces reality.
But you know what's interesting? Despite all that AI chaos, Holland has really leaned into this new chapter.
Oh, completely. He hasn't shied away from the relationship at all. He just drew a hard line around the event itself.
He has wholeheartedly embraced the husband era, and it is honestly incredibly endearing to watch.
It really is. Did you see that interview he did on the Dish podcast?
Yes, where they asked him who he would bring on a vacation to Greece.
Exactly. Without missing a single beat, he just goes, I think probably my wife would be pretty good.
And he even joked about the alternative. He said it would be super weird if he told her, sorry, babe, I'm going to take Matt Damon, actually.
Right, referring to their co-star from Christopher Nolan's film, The Odyssey.
And he carried that protective, playful energy into the press tour for The Odyssey as well.
He did. There was this one moment where a reporter tried to stir up a narrative by asking if Zendaya's character, Athena, harbored romantic feelings for Matt Damon's character.
Odysseus, right, and Holland just shut it down immediately.
He literally just said, no, because she's married to me.
Which is so sweet. It gives the fans a fun soundbite to obsess over, but it also deflects the question entirely.
Yeah, he gives them a charming quote that ultimately reveals absolutely nothing new about their private life.
But, and this brings up the friction at the heart of all this deep dive, Zendaya and Tom Holland are carefully, meticulously building these walls to protect their peace.
But the entire entertainment industry is actively trying to tear those walls down.
Exactly. The industry profits off of the illusion that there are no walls at all.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, to understand why the industry does this, we have to look at the psychology of the audience.
Like why that fan in Mexico City felt comfortable enough to scream, "Marry me," at a woman he does not actually know.
Right. And there is a deeply insightful scholarly journal on psychology we are pulling from today that explains this perfectly.
It focuses specifically on the formation of parasocial relationships in teenagers, right?
Yes. And just to define that, a parasocial relationship is essentially a one-sided relationship.
So one person, the fan, extends emotional energy, interest, and time, while the other person, the celebrity, is completely unaware of their individual existence.
That is the baseline definition, yeah.
Yeah.
But the scholarly review highlights that the nature of these relationships has fundamentally changed over the last decade.
How so?
Well, it used to be that fans consciously knew it was a delusional fantasy to think they were actually friends with a movie star. Like the poster on the wall was just a poster.
Right. You didn't expect the poster to text you back.
Exactly. But today, the industry actively encourages and monetizes that delusion. Celebrities are constantly instructed to break the fourth wall.
The research actually details some very specific tactics of intimacy that publicists use as marketing tools.
Oh, they are so calculated, like addressing the audience in the second person.
Looking directly into a phone camera and saying, "I love you guys so much," or "I couldn't do this without you."
Right. And they use informal language, ditching the polished PR speak for casual slang, so they sound just like your best friend.
And probably the most effective tactic, sharing carefully curated behind-the-scenes footage.
Yes. It makes it feel like the viewer is getting raw, unfiltered access to their messy life.
But the clinical reason these tactics work so well is what I found really fascinating in the journal.
The neurological aspect.
Yeah. Evolutionarily, our brains simply haven't adapted to screens yet.
We just haven't caught up.
Exactly. So when a teenager sees Zendaya looking directly into the camera lens and speaking directly to them, their brain's social circuitry fires as if a physical friend is standing in the room with them.
The brain literally cannot distinguish between digital intimacy and real intimacy on a neurological level.
Which completely reframes how I view every single TikTok or Instagram story a celebrity posts now.
It really does. As the journal explicitly states, the goal of these tactics is to manufacture an intimacy and grow their brand.
It is a highly effective business strategy designed to foster extreme, unwavering loyalty.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button if you are finding this as fascinating as we are so you don't miss what's coming next, because the darker implications of this are wild.
It really makes me think of a digital one-way mirror.
A one-way mirror.
Yeah, like the fan is staring at their phone and they think they are looking through this clear, transparent window directly into a celebrity's actual real life.
But what are they actually looking at?
They are really just looking into a highly curated, brightly lit display case. It has been specifically designed by publicists and marketers to make them feel like they're looking through a window.
Oh, that is a perfect way to describe it. They think they are a confidant, but they are just a consumer looking at a display.
And the clinical implications of this, according to the research, can get remarkably dark.
Yeah, because teenagers are incredibly susceptible to these marketing strategies. Developmentally, they're actively looking for external validation.
They are trying to figure out their own identities, and they look for role models to base those identities on.
So when a developing brain projects those deep psychological needs onto a celebrity who is actively utilizing these tactics of manufactured intimacy,
It can lead to intense, sometimes dangerous behaviors.
the text specifically mentions obsessive-compulsive behavior and intense parasociality that stretches well into adulthood.
So that fan in Mexico City screaming, "Marry me," might just be having a bit of fun, caught up in the hype of a Marvel premiere.
Sure, in isolation, it's just a funny moment.
But on a macro level, it is symptomatic of a culture that has systematically trained fans to feel a sense of ownership and deep familiarity with these stars.
The fans feel like they truly know Zendaya. They feel like they're active participants in her love story with Tom Holland because they literally watched them grow up together in the Spider-Man franchise.
And because of that manufactured intimacy, they feel entitled to the wedding photos.
And when they don't get them, the parasocial bond drives them to create fake AI ones to fill the void. Their brains demand the narrative closure that a real friend would provide.
Which brings us full circle to that incredible red carpet moment in Mexico City.
When she laughed and said, "It's too late."
Yes, she was performing an incredible balancing act. She was standing right on the edge of that digital one-way mirror.
She gave the fans the viral, intimate engagement they crave. It was a cute, seemingly unscripted moment that dominated social media feeds for days.
But at the same exact time, she was successfully protecting the actual private reality of her marriage.
She acknowledged the relationship to appease the crowd without giving away a single authentic detail about the wedding itself.
It was the perfect synthesis of feeding the display case while keeping her real life hidden in the vault.
It really is a tightrope walk. You have to maintain the illusion of intimacy to keep your career thriving, but you have to build massive walls to keep your sanity intact.
And it makes you wonder about the long-term sustainability of this entire system.
Right. If the entire entertainment industry relies on celebrities actively cultivating these intense, one-sided parasocial relationships to build their brands and sell movie tickets.
At what point does this manufactured intimacy become a permanent liability for a star's mental health and physical safety?
Especially as technology like AI makes it even harder to separate the public persona from the private reality. The tension is only going to grow.
Because as the line between fan and friend continues to blur with every single behind-the-scenes video, what happens when fans decide they are no longer satisfied with just a three-word reply on a red carpet?
What happens when the digital one-way mirror cracks and they demand actual real-life access?
That is something for you to ponder the next time you see a viral celebrity moment or feel a sudden surge of connection to a star you have never met.
Take a step back and look at the display case.
Appreciate the art, enjoy the movies, but remember that the person on the other side of that glass owes us nothing more than the performance they are paid to give. It's so true.
You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.